And we continue at 106 in the afternoon. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show. Broadcasting live from the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studios, where you can test your luck at any number of games all weekend long. Mr. Randy Wings at the sports desk across the glass.
John, let's check back in at the L.A. City Council meeting where the singing lady has returned. I'm not going to play you her whole song because her voice is a little grating. This is Stacey Segarra Bollinger, who apparently is also running against Nithya Raman, but to the left of her. Whenever she sings at the LA City Council meeting, a lot of the real crazy gadflies start dancing in the hallway, and Bob Blumenfeld is not having it.
By the way, Kevin, resign.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt you, but Mr. Spindler, you're going to have to leave now. I warned you about dancing during the meetings, distracting us with your wild movements. Mr. Spindler needs to leave now. Pick up your things and leave as fast as possible. Sorry, I warned you about dancing and distracting the meeting. Now you're calling out and disrupting it further. You need to leave. You need to leave. You were distracting me with your dancing and wild movements. Take your swastika and get out. Goodbye. I warned you about dancing in the aisles and distracting this body with your dancing movements. You didn't even keep the beat very well. It's a problem. Get out.
That was legitimately funny.
If he doesn't like dancing in the aisles, he must not have been a fan of Dancin' Barry back during the Showtime era Lakers.
He also got the wrong message from Footloose.
You didn't even keep the beat very well. It's a problem. Get out.
Dancin' Barry used to do it to Rockin' Robin.
Bob Blumenfeld's, he adds a little more humor than the typical all the way pissed off Paul Krikorian.
Get out.
Yeah, that is a guy who is on his last nerve. I realize that politicians stay in a job until they term out because those jobs are hard to find. But this guy seems like he's going to be on Xanax for the rest of his life.
Well, you know, if you're one of the 15 of that council, you could remain relatively anonymous and not have to deal with the crazies. But when you're the president of the council, you're the one who has to throw these nuts out every single meeting 3 times a week.
All right. Now, speaking of politicians, what we're going to do here is a little bit different than how we normally handle things. Typically, we do a topic and we tell you what the relevant politicians had to say about it, and we give you our commentary. But because we have so many nuts in so many different places, what we're going to do this hour, or at least this segment, is we're going to treat it the same way we treated the crime blotter the first hour. We had to do a potpourri of sorts of crime blotter stories because there were so many and they were all over the place. Long Beach, of course, being ground zero. So call those elected officials if you live in Long Beach. This hour, we're going to do a potpourri of things that your politicians have said publicly for you to listen to. Because, Randy, there were some doozies.
We're going to start off with the current frontrunner in the race to replace Dianne Feinstein in the U.S. Senate. A brand new poll was released today that shows Katie Porter has cut ahead.
Wait. Did you pronounce it correctly?
Excuse me. Katie Porter has cut ahead of Adam Schiff. I think she's at 17%. He's at 16%. Steve Garvey coming in at 10%. Barbara Lee at 9%.
She's batting cleanup, as they say.
And Christina Pascucci, former Fox 11 and KTLA reporter, has 1 whole percentage point.
Well, she's brand new to the Rays.
That's right. She can only go up from there.
So, Katie Porter wrote a book about her being a slob and essentially trashing her minivan.
The book is called Politics is Messier Than My Minivan. And she likes to talk about all the dirty things that are in the minivan.
And because the minivan is part of her gimmick, she tries to incorporate the gimmick into her public persona and will sometimes have conversations with constituents or potential constituents from the minivan.
That's right. So here's what happened. Like I do every single day, I pop in the name Katie Porter, just like I do Cecily Myrick Cruz, into the old YouTube search bar. And today I got a hit, and it was from the California Alliance for Retired Americans, which is, as you would imagine, an advocacy group for elderly Californians. They were holding a forum with all kinds of different candidates, but none of these candidates felt like showing up in person, so they all did it over Zoom, which means that the elderly residents, the elderly constituents, had to figure out how to use Zoom. But what was weirder than all of that was Katie Porter didn't do the Zoom call from her office. She did it from the minivan.
Here's what I'm picturing. I'm picturing her wearing the shades. I'm picturing the window rolled down with the elbow out the window with her fingers holding a cigarette. In the other hand, I'm picturing a double-double. And then one of those Neapolitan milkshakes in between her legs.
Now, do you think she just gets the double-double, or does she get the double-double and a regular cheeseburger with nothing on it that you can eat right away?
That I'm not sure about. But I think that she operates the steering wheel with the double-double in her hand or the cigarette.
Well, you get really good, and I used to be a pro at this. You learn how to drive with your knees.
Yeah, well, if you've got a cigarette in one hand and a double-double in the other, you'd kind of have to learn how to drive with your knees. But I do believe there's a Neapolitan shake in there, too, in her lap.
So that's the picture we're painting for you. Katie Porter, Congresswoman from Orange County, is in her minivan addressing a bunch of elderly residents over Zoom from the minivan. And she likes to start off with some jokes, but they don't land as jokes when the Zoom audience has their voices muted. And so you don't know if anyone is laughing at what she is saying. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It's so wonderful to be here with you all today. For those of you who I don't know, I just want to briefly introduce myself. The San Francisco Chronicle once called me Congress's watchdog and single mom.
Oh, God.
Single mom. She's talking to retirees?
Yes.
Okay, so when do you think they had their kids? The 40s?
Most likely.
Okay.
And both of those things are true. I live in Irvine, where I am raising 3 lightly supervised children.
No one's going to laugh at that.
No.
And the second part about being a watchdog is also true. I really, really love oversight. I drive a minivan that has the California license plate that spells it out. OVRSITE.
Should we touch that one or no?
Go ahead and touch it.
I feel like it's a hot pot. If I touch it, I'm going to get burned.
It has the California license plate that spells it out. OVRSITE. And so believe me, when you have oversight for your
Wait a minute. You do realize if you add one consonant to that.
Text it to me.
Wait, hang on.
You tell me what you're thinking you probably shouldn't say on the air.
Hang on. I'm drawing it for you. You can add one letter to that and really change the meaning.
I really, really love oversight. I drive a minivan that has the California license plate that spells it out. OVRSITE. And so believe.
Vanna, can I get an H?
And so believe me, when you have oversight for your license plate, you come to a complete stop at every stop sign.
What?
That's part of her material. Who wrote that? Wanda Sykes?
So that was what the meeting was like over at the California Alliance for Retired Americans. They had to deal with that and Adam Schiff and Barbara Lee. But theirs, they didn't try to do stand-up because they realized nobody was going to be able to laugh.
If you're retired and you're bored, take up golf. Start going to movies. Don't spend your time on Zoom calls with this woman doing material from her minivan.
We get it. You've got the minivan. We get it.
Can you imagine if she took the camera and just kind of moved it around the minivan? You'd see the check engine light lit up. Fast food wrappers all over the floor.
Would she have the bags crammed as much as she could under the driver's seat and the passenger seat? And if you looked at the receipts from those bags, they would be at least 6 months old.
Oh, it's going to look like a homeless encampment.
I'm just saying from experience, because I used to do that.
And she's definitely a swearer. So when someone cuts her off or disrespects her on the road, she's definitely throwing up the middle finger and shouting obscenities.
By the way, the fact that she constantly is talking about this minivan and tells the entire world what the license plate is, because, yes, she has vanity plates, I would assume there might be a constituent or two that recognizes her on the road and gives her the finger.
You know, Doug McIntyre used to always talk about Halloween costumes being made in China. And one in particular, sometimes people dress up like leprechauns for Halloween. It's a popular costume. And Doug used to always say, what do you think the guy handcuffed to a sewing machine in China thinks as he's making the leprechaun costume? What do they think it is? Do they know what leprechauns are, or do they think that they're just making a costume or regular clothes for crazy people in the new world to wear? Imagine being the convict who's pressing license plates up at San Quentin, and it's just one after another. And every once in a while, you'll see a vanity plate that says something on it, and sometimes you have to read it a few times to figure out what it is. So you got Scott Peterson up there and the remaining Mansons pressing license plates, and they get to Katie Porter's. What do you think they thought about that?
Must have been a misprint.
That's right.
Well, John, we move on from Katie Porter to my current favorite mayor in the entire state of California, and that's Mayor of Oakland, Sheng Tao.
Not a day goes by where I don't wish I could just wave a magic wand and silence the gunfire.
She's inspirational, isn't she?
The mayor of Oakland has a new plan to crack down on the rampant problem of car break-ins. There have been over 14,000 car break-ins this year alone in the city of Oakland, a city that is not that large. But her new plan does not involve more officers, more enforcement, or more consequences. It involves a parking lot downtown where they'll charge you a flat rate of $5 and ambassadors can watch it for you.
Well, that means your car is definitely getting stolen.
Sheng Tao went on KPIX to explain this brand new idea.
There's a new push to bring more people to downtown Oakland. So joining me live right now is Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao. Mayor, what is the goal of the 5 for 5 or 5 after 5 program, and how is this going to help businesses?
All right, how much time was spent coming up with the program, and how much time was spent coming up with the flashy name for it?
Oh, they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on consultants, guaranteed.
Absolutely. Look,
Oh, by the way, this is her tick whenever she does an interview. She answers every single question with absolutely.
Now that's the only thing I'm going to be able to hear.
Absolutely. Look, we want to make sure that we are supporting our small businesses here. And at the same time,
there's something about her that just sounds incredibly inauthentic with everything she says.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
I kind of like that voice, though, because she's not even tried to hide that she's being disingenuous.
absolutely. Look, we want to make sure that we are supporting our small businesses here. And at the same time, you know, I do believe that it's an opportunity for us to come together to really build the social responsibility fabric again.
That is some Rob Bonta level clicheing.
Every type of leadership is about meeting the moment and rising to the occasion. And this is what's required. And so we're stepping up and getting it done.
You know, I do believe that it's an opportunity for us to come together to really build the social responsibility fabric again. And so a part of that is making sure that people are safe, that when they go to our restaurants or to our bars or to our clubs, that they come back out and their windows are still intact. And so the 5 after 5 is essentially $5.
Wait, that's some sort of victory? You come back to your car and the windows are still intact?
That's a win in the city of Oakland.
You may be frightened, and I know how you feel.
And so the 5 after 5 is essentially $5 for a secure parking space in the Franklin Plaza parking garage after 5 p.m. And so
you're still trying to make money off of this.
Of course she is.
And so this is on weekdays and all day weekends. Folks can park there for just $5. So extending these hours, especially during...
It's like a $5 footlong.
It's 5 for 5, Randy. You park your car there for 5 hours. They break into it 5 times. You call 911. You wait for 5 hours for them to respond. Well, you're there. You get jumped by 5 guys who then you have to go to the ER where you wait for 5 hours. And then you get 5 stitches.
Especially during the weekend, so that people can come out, feel safe to come out and, participate.
She is not ready for prime time.
No.
Especially during the weekend, so that people can come out, feel safe to come out and, participate in the clubs and in the bar life and in taking on dinners and what have you is going to be key for our safety.
She sounds like a person that's never been invited out to dinner before.
No. Would you invite her out?
I would not. Now, the mayor was also asked about something we reported on last week, the brand new idea to crack down on car break-ins from the OPD. We know that 911 doesn't work, so how about we open an Instagram page called Oakland Auto Berg, and if you see an auto break-in, you can slide into our DMs. That program lasted for half a day, and we want to know why.
And you mentioned car break-ins. The Oakland Police Department tried an experiment over the weekend, launching a pilot program by having residents report auto burglaries on social media. The account was only up for less than a day, so the question is, how did it go, and will they actually reactivate that account?
Absolutely.
I think that might be a clean one.
Absolutely.
I can use it. All right, Len, we've got another one for Sheng Tao. We have 3 drops so far.
Not a day goes by where I don't wish I could just wave a magic wand and silence the gunfire.
We've got...
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
My personal favorite.
You may be frightened, and I know how you feel.
And now we've got...
Absolutely.
Wait, how many does she have on the board compared to the fake doctor?
Oh, boy. The fake doctor currently has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's got 11.
Let's get a compilation.
I have no idea. I have tech issues. The evidence is like crystal clear on that. I have a hard time understanding logic.
Yeah.
Next slide.
No, thank you.
I have a hard time understanding.
And these are 2 different drops.
I have a hard time understanding logic.
Did not doctor that, by the way. She actually said that.
Absolutely.
All right, are we done with her?
Oh, we could be, but I got more.
Oh.
Absolutely. And so we didn't want anybody thinking that, the idea is that someone will be actively monitoring that account.
She has no idea what this program is.
No. Well, she's going to end it in 8 hours anyway, so why should she learn?
And so I always expect for out-of-the-box ideas, and this is one of those out-of-the-box ideas. We will be running this again, and we'll be doing it for a while, and then we're going to collect the results and review it and see if it's actually helping. What I can tell you...
How does it help if you used it for 6 hours? Did they get 100 break-ins, so they got all the data they needed in 6 hours?
They set the bar real low in Oakland.
If it's actually helping. What I can tell you is that since September, where I actually started the auto burglary suppression team, we have seen hundreds of numbers of cars not actually being broken into. We're actually seeing our numbers.
That is not proper grammar.
Listen to the way she changes her voice when she says that they're not being broken into, like it's some sort of miracle, surprising thing that no one would ever expect.
Well, this is the same mayor that her greatest achievement in 10 months of being mayor is that if there's a burned up car on the side of the road, they clear it very quickly.
Auto burglary suppression team, we have seen hundreds of numbers of cars not actually being broken into. We're actually seeing our numbers really dip. And so
we did it. We're down 5%.
It is working, and we're going to continue to actually tackle this issue from all different directions. And this is one of those directions. And so
that is some more Bonta level clicheing.
Every type of leadership is about meeting the moment and rising to the occasion. And this is what's required. And so we're stepping up and getting it done.
It is working, and we're going to continue to actually tackle this issue from all different directions. And this is one of those directions. And so
is that just an Oakland thing?
I think she's receiving things on both ends.
Stay tuned for when we'll be back up and running for the social media.
And what did you learn from that first pilot program?
From the social media program, what we learned is that people are engaged.
What? That means people are getting their cars broken into right and left.
I receive things on both ends.
And that not just that, but we can get officers to the scene a lot quicker than having people call into 911 if they...
That is not a successful thing to say.
No, you can't get the 911 system to work, so you're looking for some other way that people can contact the cops.
Than having people call into 911 if they even feel like calling in, right?
How about you fix 911?
No, that's just not in the cards.
Right. And so we know that, for example, when someone is breaking into a vehicle, it takes about 10 seconds. Right. And so it's incredibly important for us to get the information as soon as possible so that we can actually bring these people off of the streets and make sure that they are, being apprehended. We definitely want to make sure that people feel safe. That continues to be my final and top priority.
Her final solution?
And top priority, her final and top to bottom.
Final and top priority.
I receive things on both ends.
Final and top priority in regards to this administration is making sure that the whole city feels safe. And that means cleaning up the city. That's why we've launched Oakland Fresh, where we're going to come out and start cleaning up the city and the illegal dumping and painting sidewalks. But at the same time, it's also about deterring the crime.
How are you going to paint the basketball court that got melted?
Well, it was really more blown up than melted.
Oh, my God. They melted the basketball court.
But at the same time, it's also about deterring the crime and responding to the crime and making sure those who are creating the havoc in society we're bringing them to justice.
Now, that sounds like a woman with a magic wand.
Absolutely.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you want to listen to us on Saturday or Sunday, you can do that quite easily.
That's right. Just go to the KABC app, search KABC AM in the Apple App Store or the Android Store. It's the best way to listen live to this station whenever you're outside of the AM radio signal. And you can download all the podcasts of this show, listen to them on your phone, listen to them on CarPlay, and you can listen to every single show, including the ones you missed. Like, let's say you were in town on Monday and you were in town on Friday, but you had a business trip on
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
And you missed the shows on
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
You can go back and download the podcast of the shows on
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
And Randy, we're going on the road later this month.
That's right. Come see us broadcast live Friday, November 17th at the brand new Gelson's West LA at West Edge on the corner of Olympic and Bundy. The Gelson's West LA at West Edge is open now. I checked it out the other day. It is absolutely gorgeous in there. We're going to be broadcasting live from the Sushi Wine and Beer Bar. It is beautiful. We're going to have a great time. So come see us Friday, November 17th at the brand new Gelson's West LA at West Edge.
And Randy, whenever Gavin Newsom is asked if he's running for president, not only does he deny it, but he acts indignant about it.
That's right. He starts getting all weird with the laughs and the moans. And when other people are asked if Gavin Newsom's running for president, Usually it's a reaction like Willie Brown's.
So listen to this. This, according to Politico. You know that Gavin Newsom just went to Israel and China. Apparently, with him to China, he brought along a photojournalist with extensive White House coverage experience to document his trip to China.
That is something we are mindful of.
Where you saw the iconic picture of Gavin Newsom wearing the aviators at the Great Wall of China, looking into the distance. If he had his hand with the palm on his belly and his fingers in between his buttons, he would look like Napoleon.
We've leaned in.
Apparently, this White House photojournalist that went to China with Newsom has been freelancing for Newsom for 5 months. His state contract rate is $5,000 a month for 7 days.
Wait, does that mean that Gavin has been paying this guy since the month of
May?
I believe so.
And not just for 5 weeks.
5 weeks!
But for 5 months.
That's right. So this guy apparently has years of experience documenting U.S. presidents, including Presidents Bush and Obama. But he's not running for president. Who does he think he's trying to kid? And we're paying for it too, it sounds like.
Wait, that's coming from our tax dollars?
Let me read this again to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. Gavin Newsom brought a photojournalist with him with extensive White House coverage experience to document his trip to China. He's been freelancing for Newsom for 5 months. His state contract rate is $5,000 a month for 7 days. State contract rate.
So that could be with not campaign money, but with the money that's supposed to go to his office to do things like fix the state of California.
I would assume so.
That moves the needle on the inside.
Why would you, if you're hiring someone from your campaign account, why would you get a state rate? The government always pays state rates for various things. If you work for the government and you have to stay in a hotel, there's a formula that they have based on what type of job you have as to how much money they'll spend on the hotel. And it sounds like this is a state negotiated rate with a photographer.
We're as dumb as we want to be.
Okay. Newsom brought along former photojournalist with extensive experience covering the White House for the trip, Charles Amani, a British-born, San Francisco-based photographer who's got an eye for compelling image. Presumably wanting the photos to speak for themselves, the photographer declined an interview. He spent decades as an international war photographer and years documenting U.S. presidents, including George W. Bush and Barack Obama, whom he photographed with his shoes up on his desk in his early days in the Oval Office. Over the past 5 months, Amani has been freelancing for Newsom, though the pictures the governor's team shared were uncredited, which his team says is standard protocol. So they were trying to hide the fact that he hired a presidential photographer to travel with him.
But it just didn't feel big enough.
His rate, which is paid for with a contract through the state, is a $5,000 a month for 7 days and $1,500 for any additional days, though the team says he rarely exceeds a week. His travel in China, as Newsom's and the rest of his staff on the trip, was paid for by the California State Protocol Foundation, a nonprofit that takes money from donors and to which Newsom gave over $3 million since 2019 from his inaugural committee funds.
What the hell is going on?
So it sounds like this guy is being paid his salary from the taxpayers, and his travel is being paid for by some slush fund. So Newsom can go to China and look like Napoleon.
He wanted to look pretty when he was on the wall of China.
What the hell are we doing?
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Well, Claudia writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com to unload on drunk driving assemblywoman Wendy Carrillo, who got busted for a DUI this morning after slamming into a parked car. Wendy Carrillo has a history. If you search Wendy Carrillo and George Esperanza, that's who she was having an affair with when they both were working for Jose Huizar of the LA City Council. Then when she got elected to the assembly, she hired Esperanza to be her chief of staff, even though she knew he was under investigation by the FBI for corruption and was later indicted and forced to resign from her office when he was arrested. And now she's running to sit in that same seat, the city council, that Kevin De Leon currently resides, who only ran for that seat because Jose Huizar got indicted for corruption.
Well, you know why she's running for that seat.
Why is that?
She has to run. They're going to take her license away. You can't drive to it. And wasn't she one of the big backers of zero bail, too?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's working for her right now. She's not going to get held.
What time did they take her into the drunk tank? 3, 4 a.m.? If the bars close at really 1:45, what time did she get picked up?
What is she slamming down on a Thursday night over and over and over again?
Well, the legislature's not in session. So she's got nothing but time on her hands.
So from mid-October to about mid-February, it's just a drink-all-day fest?
Oh, yeah. And you watch. She's going to claim to be a victim now. She's going to claim that she has an alcohol problem or something.
It worked for Gavin.
Randy, we spend a lot of time on this show, particularly this hour, talking about how people disassociate their vote with the government they receive. That's a common occurrence here in California. And I don't know if you saw this in the news, but this is a perfect example as to why it takes so long for government to get better when we all know it's failing us. Jeff Bezos just announced that he's moving out of Seattle, Washington for the state of Florida. When asked why he was moving from Washington to Florida, he said it was to, quote, be near family.
His family or Sanchez's?
Well, they live here. Or used to. He just happens to be saving a lot of money by moving to Florida, but that's not the motivation. And he's already starting to dress the part. Have you seen the photographs that he's posted when making this announcement?
Oh, no.
He looks like Don Johnson.
He's going full Miami Vice, huh?
Yeah. He hasn't even registered to vote there, changed his DMV records to Florida, and he's already starting to dress like it's Miami in the 1980s.
A lot of white bull hats.
Oh, yeah.
It's sunny down there. He doesn't want to get sunburned. He's going to have to cover up.
Oh, yeah. Wear a hat. Lots and lots and lots of sunblock. Put the chair underneath the mango tree. Not to the side of it. So he's moving from Washington. As bad as it is here, have you seen the photographs of what it looks like in Seattle or Portland right now?
What's going on there?
Oh, my God. I don't know why San Francisco gets the bad rap when you could use Portland or Seattle. Those cities look like bombs went off. If you think the homeless situation is bad here, check out on social media what it looks like in those two towns. All right, we've got one more hour coming up on the John Phillips Show. KABC legal analyst Royal Oakes joins us, and State Senator Gloria Romero Don't you go anywhere. This is the John Phillips Show on Talk Radio 790 KABC.
We often lead from the front, but it is time for us to lead from the back.
But it just didn't feel big enough.